I call the member for Lalor.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. And I rise with absolute relish to speak on this MPI today because, as everybody in this building knows, education is what I was involved in for 27 years before I joined my colleagues in this place, Deputy Speaker. And when I rise to talk about this government's supposed new policy, its supposed new funding for education, Deputy Speaker, it is with absolute assurance that I say that you cannot turn a $22 billion cut to schools in education into a positive. You just can't do it, Deputy Speaker. Now, to look at that, to look at what those cuts mean state by state, in New South Wales that's a $6.9 billion cut. In Victoria it's a $5.4 billion cut. In Queensland it's a $4.6 billion cut. In South Australia it's a $1 billion cut. In WA it's a $2.4 billion cut. In the ACT, $390 million. In the NT, $240 million. And in Tassie, $470 million, Deputy Speaker. That's what these cuts mean. I know that those opposite are excited to come into this chamber because they think they've got a good news story to tell about schools. I understand for the last 4 years, every time we've mentioned schools, they've run away hiding because they knew that they didn't have a good story to tell. And now they've actually listened to our Prime Minister, Prime Minister 2.0, try and reset this debate and reset this conversation with the Australian public. Guys, it's a fizzer. This announcement is an absolute fizzer, and no ready reckoner is going to get you out of that. The cuts are real. The schools know the cuts are real. The principals know the cuts are real because they know that in 2011 the review happened. They know that there was an urgency about making sure that we implemented a needs-based model. They know that those opposite haven't been able to put the words needs-based into a sentence for 4 years. They know that they promised and then broke a promise. So the former Prime Minister made a promise, then he walked into this place and he broke that promise. And standing next to him was the member for Sturt, remember? It's a Konski, he kept saying, it's a Konski. Well, this is a Konski. This is not going to deliver for our schools what was promised when Gonski did that review with the expert panel. It is not going to deliver needs-based funding to schools, and schools will know it, and families will know it, because they know who ended the funding wars, Deputy Speaker. Whole of Australia knows who ended the funding wars in education. Her name was Julia Gillard, and it was her life's work to end those funding wars and set us on a plane where the federal government could make a contribution to schools across this country, regardless of sector, because they know that sector-blind modelling is the only way for this to happen. And even today, in question time, they know that although they're managing to use the phrase needs-based, they don't understand what it means, and they know that they don't understand sector-blind because if they did, the Catholics wouldn't be up in arms about this, because if it was sector-blind, there'd be nothing to complain about, Deputy Speaker. This is a $22 billion cut from what they were promised at an election by a Liberal Prime Minister. It is a cut that will be felt across this nation in classrooms everywhere, Deputy Speaker, and it is an absolute disgrace. So when the Prime Minister last week announced that he was going to end the funding wars, I set my clock. Like I set my clock when the opposition leader said he was on a ticket with us on funding these schools. I set my clock for how long until that little bubble burst, Deputy Speaker, the same way I did sitting as a candidate and listening to the member for Warringah make his promise and then break his promise, Deputy Speaker. So you haven't just got an issue in terms of people going to the detail in this, and of course that will happen across the next month. When we go to the detail, and when every principal in this country goes to the detail, they're going to know what they're not getting. So you can tell them as much as you like, go to the ready reckoner and see what you are going to get. They've been here for 4 years. They know what the promise was. They know what they expect. Their families know what they expect. The sectors know what they expect. And with 12 seconds to go, I just want to reiterate this. When is COAG and when are you going to talk to the states about this? And there are 27 agreements because there are 27 different sectors, and you're about to find out how you've got to negotiate with all of them.